We've got futures game rosters out for us here on the call up. We're going to break down the American League today. And of course, it's loaded with a lot of top prospects, but also, as always, you have some maybe prospects that are a surprise, maybe not as much fanfare with them. You have Harry Ford, I think, on his fourth year, but then you have some other prospects who are at the back end of a top 30 that teams wanted to give a little bit of shine to, maybe a little audition, who knows. So I'm excited to break down each of those. You got myself, Aram Layton, Jack McMullen joining me from the third city in how many days? What's the travel plan, or like what's been the map recently?
We're good. Big moment for me was being done with the Pacific Standard time zone. I hate that thing. Like I have grown to hate being 3 hours removed from everybody out east. So we went Miami to San Francisco to Arizona to Miami. And if you can hear it in my voice, pollen guy. I'm not great with the pollens in various places, and also the temperature change going from a humid 90 to 55 degrees in San Francisco to 110-degree dry heat in Arizona back to a humid 90 in Miami. My system is shocked right now, but you know what? We're good. Time to talk futures game.
Absolutely, and it's the best. It's the best medicine. Also, there's nothing better than 100% humidity, heat, and thunderstorms to get you right down here in South Florida.
It's like a steam room. It's great.
Yeah, you're just steaming permanently. Like, that's did the Marlins sell you on that when you were going through the hiring process?
No, but they also didn't need to sell me on much. It's a Major League Baseball team. So I say, you know what? It's
I
okay.
know. As I was saying, that I was like, they did not. They honestly could have slapped you in the face, I think, and then said, "Here's the offer," and you're still
For
taking
sure.
that.
Yes.
So, but we're doing American League today, and we'll kind of fly through it. And I'm gonna make a thread out of this too. So I thought it would be a similar fun conversation of why this player is going to be fun to watch. But like we'll do a quick check in what they've done this year, and then Jack will kind of give you the background of who they are and what they've done. I'll break down some more and then tell you why they could be fun to watch in the futures game.
Yeah, so I figure like we'll kind of go rapid fire through some guys. I was thinking about throwing you like all the pitchers. Where do you want to go? But I think it would be good to work one by one and just kind of who they are, what organization, what the fanfare is behind them. I know for a lot of you guys listening, you're going to say, "Oh, Senja, I know who Durangelo Senja is," but bear with us because it might be good to just kind of like not dummy this thing down, but also like Sanja's the switch pitcher for the Seattle Mariners, and he
Yeah.
is in the futures game. So we'll start with Durangelo Sanja. This guy, we've talked a lot about him being a fascinating prospect, but a really good prospect as a right-handed pitcher. Left-handed pitcher, not so much. But Durangelo Sanja is going to throw in the futures game, and you know you're going to get the glove switch mid-inning.
Yep, you're gonna get it, and I might be the only guy that's booing when that happens. But no, it'll be really cool to see in real time. And I mean, Sane just earned it just on the respect that, look, I know the numbers on the surface may not be fantastic. You look at what he's done over the course of the year, it's a 4.88 ERA. But remember, this is a guy that was not pitching a ton and had been hitting and a switch hitter as well. Hadn't really fully focused on the mound until really last year, or maybe a little bit before that. So you're still seeing him be a work in progress here, but he's striking out 26% of batters. And when you look at what he's able to do with his right arm, I think you can really see a guy that has all the makings to be a middle rotation starter. Fastball's average 95.5. Actually, I should sort here because it lowers it when you average all of his fastballs. Fastball from his right arm averages 96.5 with great characteristics that can overwhelm hitters. This is a guy that I think in a short spurt, people may actually like get a little overzealous maybe with how high they want to push him because like, oh my gosh, he's throwing 99 with plus carry. Like,
Right.
holy crap. Because this is a guy that in short spurts with his right arm will be disgusting. But he's going to switch around to the left arm. It's going to be fun. I just hope he throws strikes because it's 92 with his left arm and he's a 42% strike rate with his left arm. So it is a little bit more of just kind of a fun thing that he can do. It might be one of the last like big stage times we see him do it because I just don't think he does it at the big league level.
Fair. But it's going to be fun to watch.
Yes, absolutely.
Keegan Gillies of the Baltimore Orioles is also on this roster. Keegan Gillies is a name that not many of you know, I'm sure. Gillies is in Double A for Baltimore, and this guy is a physical freak. 6'8", 255 pounds. He spent 5 years at Tulane. This guy is 27 years old, and he was a 15th round pick in 2021. Okay, so how do we get to this point? Keegan Gillies this year in 31 and a third innings has a 1.15 ERA in double A, has allowed 14 hits in 31 and a third, and has punched out 34 while walking four. Big man, doesn't walk anybody. He's also 27. I would love to see him in the major league soon.
Yeah, it's funny. A rare reliever being sent out. I'm trying to remember how often have we seen? I mean, Marquise Grissom's getting out there too, and but like how often do we see relievers really get pushed out there? I feel like it's not necessarily very. I'm trying to remember. I feel like for the most part, that's just not the case.
No, not often at all.
But he's nasty. To your
Yeah.
point, I mean, 6'7", 6'8", 250 pounds, like you mentioned, but he's getting 7 feet of extension as well. Actually, 7.2 feet of extension. It's a high release because he's so tall. It's a 6'7" release, which is going to be quite up there. So, of course, you got to take the vert with a grain of salt. But at the same time, 20 inches of induced vertical break is 20 inches of induced vertical break, and he's only getting 2 inches of horizontal. So that tells me plus extension, 20 vert, no horizontal. That's going to be a top of the zone killer. And he'll be the guy that people see come out on the mound. If he, I hope he even gets out there. Like he may not be a priority, but it'll be like, who the heck is this guy? And whoa, good morning, good afternoon, good night with that fastball, because it might be an angle that hitters haven't seen. And what have I said in the past? I love the splitter guys from the
Yeah.
high release. When you're a vert guy, get the carry, splitter from there. It just exacerbates that vertical separation. He's got a nasty split, and then he's also got the gyro slider. So I'm all in on the arsenal.
It's funny because he's an Oriole. Like this really is we have Felix Bautista at home. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's the Felix Bautista template, but obviously way worse because he doesn't throw,
100.
101 with the best splitter in the game.
Hey, 60% of Felix Bautista with probably better strike throwing ability
It's a
is a
major league reliever.
great reliever. Very solid major league reliever.
Brody Hopkins in Tampa is another guy that is going to the futures game here. Double A in Tampa right now. I have liked Hopkins for a long time, and Brody Hopkins is a top 100 prospect at just baseball.
I feel like his last outing was just like the most Brody Hopkins outing ever. 6 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs, 5 walks, 5 Ks. Even when he's not striking out the world, and even when his command is a little bit off, you're still gonna struggle to put up runs against this guy, and that's what makes him fun. But you put this guy in a 1 inning spurt, good luck, because that fastball is averaging 97 and also has unique characteristics because he releases from like a 5.2, 5, maybe even lower than that release height. It's an assortment of secondaries that are all really fun. I think that the breaking balls are particularly fun to watch him throw. Hopkins is going to be a fun, stuffy guy to watch in this game for sure. And I mean, the Rays have a special arm here, assuming he can rein in the command a little bit more, but he's getting there for sure.
Another stuffy guy that I know you're excited to watch, left-hander Gage Jump of the Athletics is going. He's in Double A right now. This guy was amazing in High A. Gage Jump, college arm that is also a top 100 prospect in baseball.
Just dominant so far this year. He's had, I think, uh, I think his most human stretch the last 2 outings, 10 walks in his last 2 starts, which is a bit of a surprise because it was not really an issue for him as much going into that. But so it goes. It's a longer season for him, and I think we've seen him dominate for most of the year. Fastball's average 95, good characteristics. The slider is a comfortably plus pitch. He's got a curveball as well. I'm excited to see Jump in person, and I mean he's been, you could argue, one of the biggest breakout arms in the minor leagues this year.
George Clausen, the next guy, and I learned Clausen, not Klassen. 23-year-old
Class.
was a Philadelphia Philly. He was in that Carlos Estevez deal with Aldegari. This year, Clausen has stunk up the joint, unfortunately. Last year, he was really good, punched out 135 in 93 innings. This year, in 47 and two thirds, he's got an ERA a tick under 7
Yeah.
at 6.99. Opponents are getting base knocks against him. Yeah, he's walking 4 hitters per 9, but 56 hits against him in 47 and two thirds.
Yeah, it has been a bit of a surprise because you do look at some of the whiff numbers. I mean, 16% swinging strike rate across his arsenal is like 5%, 4 or 5% above average. The in zone whiff numbers are even better. The fastball has actually been performing well. It's just surprise in terms of the whiff character. Like you're seeing 26% in zone whiff, 16% swinging strike rate on a fastball, but opponents are hitting 308 against it. So that tells me there's some inconsistency there, right? There's just too much middle, and too many that are maybe running right over that heart of the plate. He has the stuff. There's no doubt about that. But I do think this is a guy with some reliever risk, no doubt. But regardless, fastball average is 97. He can flirt with triple digits. Going to be a fun player to watch throw in this game. And he's also had some adversity this year. He took a comebacker off the head. You don't know how that's going to affect you. Thank goodness he was okay. But that may have played a part and maybe some of the struggles, because really since then is when it's gotten worse. So
Gotcha.
you never know.
Most boring guy that we've got in the futures game is Parker Messick of the Cleveland Guardians, but he's one of my favorites. Messick, every time you look, has been good. And this year in AAA, 68 innings at a 3.7 ERA. He's punching out 11 hitters per nine. The walk bug has bit him a little bit. Of course, the ABS challenge system in full effect for every AAA game, so the walk numbers are going to be a bit elevated in AAA. But at the end of the day, Messick is still proving to be a high floor back end starting
Yeah.
pitcher, and that's what you're going to see in the futures game. Is it fun? No.
No.
Is this guy deserving? Yes.
Exactly. And pretty much the first 15 starts of the year, or excuse me, first 14 starts of the year, he was fantastic. He had a 2.85 ERA in AAA. He had his first blow up outing last start a couple days ago, where he faced Iowa back-to-back games. And he's the kind of guy that you probably don't want to have to throw against the same team back-to-back, because there's deception built in, things like that. So he goes 6 shutty against Iowa on the 24th, and then faces them again on the 29th, and they get to him for 7 earned in an inning and 2/3. But other than that, he has been fantastic this year. I think there's a lot of the Logan Allen similarities when Logan Allen was good, and then you have a little bit more velocity and I think a little bit more stuff going for him. So not who you are buying the ticket to see at the futures game, but definitely a guy who is worthy, as you said.
Arm's buying a couple tickets to see Frank Mazzucato of the Kansas City Royals. The Maz is pitching here. Mazzucato spent all of last year with high A Quad Cities, and he was good. 22 starts, over 100 innings at a 3.4 ERA. This year, start of the year in high A, 7 starts. He was amazing. 15 hits against him in 36 innings. He had a 1.24 ERA. Then he gets his first taste of Double A ball. In 26 and 2/3 innings, he has an 8.44 ERA. In 26 and 2/3, he's punched out 18 and walked 27. What's wrong with him?
The walks have continued to be an issue, but it's really reared its head, I think, at the double A level. He can get a lot of ride on the fastball, and we've seen that, but it's 90 miles per hour. And then I think the fact that his best pitch is this depthy curveball with 16 inches of vertical break, that creates a challenge for him, because okay, your best pitch is this pitch that's incredibly difficult to land for a strike. I think that has created a hurdle, and that's a 46% strike rate on a pitch he throws the second most, and then the changeup being the third most. So he's either got to find a bridge pitch, or he's got to tighten that thing up more so that he can land it more for a strike. But when he's on, yeah, he's a really good arm that can rack up the strikeouts in bunches. But I mean, this guy has walked the world this year, and it's been tough to watch.
Cedar Rafaela was a name that we saw, and Yasver Zulueta was another name that we saw and said, I don't believe that's a real person until I see him pitch in the futures game. That's my deal with Alimber Santa with the Houston Astros. Alimber Santa just turned 22 years old. He's from the Dominican Republic. Santa this year, after what, 40 innings last year at a 6.5 ERA, and before that, 87 innings at a 6 ERA, in which he walked 74 in 2023. He's made the move to the bullpen, and he's been awesome. 49 and 2/3 innings at a 1.27 ERA in Double A as a 22-year-old. I know nothing about this guy. Who is Alimber Santa in the Astros system?
This is what I love the futures game. You have like a kind of iffy farm system that we also joke that sometimes we feel like this game is almost like a trade piece audition slash like pump up the tires a little bit. And I wonder if if Santa's that, or they just didn't want to send some of their other arms that have been throwing a little bit better this year. I would have loved to see Burrito out there, but not to take away anything from Santa, he's been really good this year as a 22-year-old. Opponents are hitting 193 against him with a 527 OPS. He's able to blend I think enough swing and miss with getting ground balls. Fastballs average 96.5 this year. And it for a guy that is a reliever, it's amazing to see the pitch mix. It's four seamer, sinker, sweeper, slider, cutter, changeup, curveball. So he still has that starter arsenal with just an assortment of offerings that you're going to have to see now in a 1 to 2 inning spurt.
Okay, so that's your 411 on a Lean Bear Santa. In the words of Daniel Tosh, are you ready to give it another shot in the Futures game? Noah Schultz.
Mm-hmm.
Noah Schultz had a really rough Futures game last year in Arlington. He's had a rough go in AAA to this point. If he throws strikes, it's going to be better than what happened last year in the Futures game. Schultz, obviously, one of the best left handed pitching prospects in Major League Baseball. I'm excited to see that guy in person again. It wasn't a sour taste left in my mouth because you can't have a sour or a good taste over the course of 1 inning for a starting pitcher, but he really struggled last year in this setting. I'm excited to see him try and bounce back in this setting again.
Well, and he'd be bouncing back from his last two starts as well. He had a 3.34 ERA in Double-A, got the promotion to Charlotte in Triple-A, and in those first two starts, it's been an adjustment for him,
Yeah.
understandably so. He's super tall, and obviously we get to AAA here. There's more discipline. We talk about also just what comes with the ABS challenge system, all those good things. Also, Charlotte, not an easy place to pitch. You factor all those things in, and you've got a guy who has struggled to 11 earned runs through his first 7 1/3 innings at the AAA level. Still 21 years old, still one of the best sliders I think in minor league baseball, and a fastball that will average 95 and get up to the upper 90s. So still so much to dream on, so much fun to watch a 6'9" lefty go after it. But he's also not only trying to, I think, flip the switch from last year's Futures game. He's also trying to flip the switch from probably the worst two-start stretch of his professional career.
Probably. And last but not least, the guy that is the rocket ship through minor league baseball this year, Trey Yesavage of the Toronto Blue Jays. Yesavage is going to be throwing an inning here. If you like Vert, this is
Yeah,
your guy.
he's your guy, and he is kind of a different conversation than some of these others that we've talked about, where he has been red hot. I think he had that one Double-A outing where he looked human, and then bounces right back, goes 5 innings, 1 hit, no runs, 1 walk, 8 Ks. It's plus vert. It's plus vert at 95 miles an hour. He's got the splitter and the gyro slider off of that. Opponents are hitting 136 against Trey Savage this year in the Blue Jays Oregon. You go by pitch by pitch. 211 against the fastball, 154 against the slider, 034 against the splitter.
What
They
are
are
the raw numbers? Do you have like at bats? Yeah.
2 for 59 with
Whoa.
40 strikeouts. I think this might be the best pitch in the Futures game. I'm trying to think, like, at least on the American League side, is there a better pitch in the Futures game than
No, Schultz's slider has established the credibility, but like those numbers say Yesavage's splitter is far better.
it's funny too, because a lot of the talk through the draft process was kind of looking at the fastball slider combination. Like, that splitter is ridiculous. 38% chase, 32% swinging strike rate. Again, he has the highest release, I think, of any pitcher in professional baseball, including the major leagues. So
Wow.
you pair that highest release in Major League Baseball or professional baseball with the carry that the fastball gets from there. Okay, that may downplay the carry a little bit, but it's going to really exacerbate that split gap and the vertical separation and that perceived drop that it has. That's why I think that pitch is going to be a problem, and it's a big reason why I think Trey Savage is going to be a middle rotation starter.
Interesting. Okay, those are your AL pitchers. We're going to get to the hitters in a moment. Before that, quick break. Start with the catchers on the American League side. Your three catchers, Josue Briseño of the Detroit Tigers, Harry Ford of the Seattle Mariners, and Carter Jensen of the Kansas City Royals. Let's start with Briseño. Listed as a catcher. Wouldn't be stunned if he played first base in
Yeah,
this one, Josue Briseño, but big boy hit bombs. If they televise batting practice, and they should on MLB
they really
Network,
should.
you should be watching Josue Briseño's batting practice if you're out at Truist Park in Atlanta.
Well, you can expose me. I missed it the one day we were in the Arizona Fall League together.
Yeah, so but it was okay that you missed it because I think you brought me sushi from the
I,
spot that you went to. You were like,
yes,
"I'm gonna go eat. You enjoy batting practice," and I was like, "Well, you missed a freaking
yeah,
show, but
I was
thanks for the
doing write
sushi."
ups and I did bring you sushi, so I appreciate you sitting on that information.
Yeah,
You could have outed me and said he skipped Josue Briseño batting practice for
no,
food. Um,
no,
but
you got me sushi. We're good.
the powers is stupid, man. It really is. 994 OPS this season, and it's funny because I was a little bit hesitant to put him in the top 100 last at the like after the fall league because it was like, okay, he's a first baseman though. He's got to really mash, even if he didn't catch at all. And now they're starting to mix him in a couple times a week as a catcher. So if he's a guy that can, even if we're talking about like an Augustine Ramirez type of thing, it does just help that he's capable of getting in the squat and catching. And I know the Marlins still have the hopes of developing him into a more consistent catcher, but just for the sake of argument, just the fact that he could get down there and play the position, even if it's once or twice a week, definitely helps because we're comparing him to other 6'4" first basemen where it's like that guy might not even be good at first. So that helps a little bit. Briseño also, I mean, it's a 90th percentile of 107 miles per hour. He's hitting the ball in the air. This is the maybe the biggest change in launch angle that we've seen year over year, that I can remember from, you know, a top 100 type of player. Where last year before the fall league, I think he was putting the ball on the ground around 50% clip, and then this year he's putting the ball on the ground at a 27% clip. So now you're seeing those plus EVs really shine through. He's cut the chase rate down, and that's how you got an OPS nearly at 1,000 for a 20-year-old in high A. That West Michigan ball club, I mean, they're sending three players there. They're a wagon, man.
And they've been there for a long time, like maybe too long. I don't know
I
what's going
know.
on here, but you know what? If Scott Harris wants to keep him in West Michigan, I totally understand. And they've got a bunch of good places for that. Like Lakeland, my understanding is Lakeland's a good setup. Obviously, it's right by the complex. West Michigan, if you've never been to Grand Rapids, Michigan, that place is a beauty. And then Erie, like Erie's a decent operation too, and Toledo's legit as well. So the Tigers, maybe they just love West Michigan for that trio.
I definitely think there's this sense of, hey, like we just want them to get their reps. McGonigal is banged up. Briseño we want to catch. Clark, is making swing adjustments that we're seeing now translate.
Yeah.
Let's take the time and move them in tandem. And I do wonder though if after this futures game we see the trio potentially pushed up.
Could
But like
absolutely.
we talked about though with some of the guys in the farm system, and even Jaden Ham was talking about it. There's so much talent at every team that guys are just kind of backlogged a little bit, and they're okay with it. They understand it because it starts at the top with one of the best teams in Major League Baseball and trickles all the way down. But Briseño, we're talking about candidates to hit the longest home run of the game. Briseño is definitely one of them.
So was Harry Ford on the taxi squad for a minute? How did that work? Because Harry Ford is like he was gonna be a big leaguer, right? And then they said,
Yeah.
"Oh, wait, never mind."
I think he was like taxi squad emergency catcher type of situation. I'm guessing because we saw that like, oh, he's quote unquote getting the call up, but pretty sure it was more of just that taxi squad type of situation there. So we're still waiting on the debut. But before that, we're gonna get again. Is it? I was talking to the Marine Layer guys about it. Of course, that's the Mariners podcast on our network. Check that out. They do as good of a job as anybody covering Seattle. They said fourth time. I didn't know if it was hyperbolic. I think it is the fourth time. I know I've seen Harry Ford in the Futures game three times.
This is at least the third time. I think it could be the fourth time that Ford is going to the Futures game. But he's also from Atlanta, so this helps as
Yeah,
well. Like that could be a bit of a homecoming for him. So maybe they were, thinking, "Hey, we'll send somebody else." But it's like, you know what, Ford, it's Atlanta.
he's
Like,
also
let's
playing out of his mind.
right,
And
right. So it's a good chance to showcase. By the way, your catcher's an MVP candidate. So, maybe this is a trade audition type
yeah,
thing for a Harry Ford. But yeah, I just read Ford was on the taxi squad after Mitch Garver took a foul ball off the jaw.
ooh,
If he were to go on the IL, then Ford would have been activated. But Garver was able to avoid an IL stint, so Harry Ford went back to AAA Tacoma. So
you get a game check for that?
yeah, absolutely. Are
Yeah,
you
hell
kidding?
yeah, man.
Yeah, taxi squad for sure.
Enjoy it. Yeah, there we go. I hope he was eating nice that night, and he's gonna get his opportunity, whether it's with the Mariners or somebody else. But because of what he's doing this year, right? 745 OPS last season. The hard hit rate was 33%. Then this year, you've seen the hard hit rate jump to 41%, 878 OPS. I understand that it's the PCL, but PCL doesn't bump your hard hit rate.
Yep.
PCL doesn't bump your contact rate. And it doesn't bump your overall swing mechanics that just look far better. So for Harry Ford here, I love what he has done to get himself to be a little bit more line drive driven. Hit the ball hard on a line. Use your speed. It was a little bit too much of trying to be the outslug the EVs guy. And when your
Yep.
EVs are now they're actually league average, but when they're fringy, you're gonna have a lot of balls die at the track. And sure, that may have actually helped him a little bit more in the PCL this year, but the teams have access to all the information. If you're trying to endear yourself to another team or to your team to call you up at the big leagues, that underlying data needs to look better, and it's as good as it has ever looked for Harry Ford. And then the defense has been as good as it has ever looked. He looks the part of at least an average regular backstop. That's going to be so fun too because you get plus speed and this dynamic skill set that doesn't normally come with the position. Enjoy the final iteration of Harry Ford in the futures game. He's the all-time leader, I imagine, in every futures game statistic.
Unless he gets there next year. Carter Jensen is going as well. Jensen, not Blake Mitchell. Carter Jensen, who got up to AAA Omaha. And Jensen does have a base knock on his book in Omaha, but that's about it. Carter Jensen, 1 for 22 with 10
Woo!
strikeouts in AAA. This is going to be a good recalibration session for Carter Jensen in the futures game.
No doubt. And Blake Mitchell's been hurt, so it's been tough for these two. But I mean, Jensen was great in Double A before that. This is another player though where the EVs are great. You're just trying to see that translate into a bit more game pop. And we talked about it when we broke down the Royal system. I have some concern about the heavy front side, kind of drifts forward onto that. And that's why you got a 214 batting average on four seamers. But man, when he connects, he can really get into them. And I think we can see that potentially in this game. 54% hard hit rate, 90th percentile of 106.5 miles per hour. It's big time juice for a 21-year-old here, and still a fun player to watch.
Yep. All right, let's go to the infielders here. First one is a Minnesota Twin, Kalen Culpepper, who is in Double A. Kalen Culpepper, obviously their first round pick out of Kansas State last year. This is going to be a fun guy to watch. I haven't gotten to see much Kalen Culpepper at all.
He's gotten better and better and better and better every single time I check in this year. And the big thing with him was start of the season, that ground ball rate was egregiously high. First 30 games, it was at north of 60%. It was 62% through his first 30 games. Then in the 33 games since then, it's at 45%. So you're seeing that side of things really improve because the bat to ball has been there. The EVs are average, but when you're hitting it at better angles, he's a guy that can pull the ball in the air at a pretty good clip. We're seeing him slug more than I think people were expecting. I saw 40 power grades put on him, and I was very stuck between 45, 50. What's it going to look like? He's making the case to be able to potentially get to 50 grade power, which if he can do that, he's that 50s across the board type of player who can now look like he could stick at shortstop. 11 homers in 62 games. He's gotten up to Double A. He's having success there overall. It's been a really impressive season so far for a guy that did slip to the back end of that first round, and I think some people question the ceiling, myself included, and I think he's pushing that a little bit higher every time you check in.
Similar conversation. At some point, you question the ceiling, but at what point is CJ Kafis going to stop hitting? 68 games in the Guardian system, 18 in Double A, and the quick bump to Columbus. This guy's hitting 319 with a 987 OPS this year. That's after he hit 291 with a 904 OPS last year. I
Yep.
didn't think he could get better, but he got better as he levels up.
I'm fully coming around, and I know I'm late to the party here because I was very hesitant last year because the production was there, sure, but he had an 80% in zone contact rate. It looked like it required all of his effort to get into that pull side power. And yeah, he hit the 17 home runs in 107 games last year, but it was a 39% hard hit rate. And again, you would see him really have to let it eat to get into that. 6 foot, 180-ish pounds. I'm like, okay, well, how much more power is going to be there? It's a corner profile as well defensively. And specifically, it was first base. Now he's playing some corner outfield, which takes at least a little bit of pressure off. He's still got a slug, but he is really slugging now. And you've seen that hard hit rate jump to 49.5%. the average EV and 90th percentile jumped by 2 miles per hour. And with his ability to get into that pull side power and hit the ball in the air, I mean, he might be putting it together enough here to be now this above average regular bat. So it's been really fun to watch him do his thing. 319, 414, 574 slash line, and he hasn't missed a beat since getting to AAA. So it's been really impressive from him, and I think he could be a guy that ends up getting an opportunity. Both him and Delauder, but I think he could be a guy that gets an opportunity here to potentially help the Guardians sooner rather than later as that offense sputters. But it gets his opportunity here in the futures game, which is fun to see.
Next guy we got to talk about, Yankee shortstop in Double A, Derek Jeter. What are your thoughts on him?
um, I think the range is a little bit short for Jeter.
Yeah, DRS, not
Yeah,
great. George Lombard Jr., who's now wearing number 2. I was just gonna leave it at Derek Jeter and see if anybody like picked up. But yeah, George Lombard Jr. is going. George Lombard's a very good player. Is he Derek Jeter? I have no idea. Yankee fans seem to think that he's Derek Jeter.
it is kind of nuts that I didn't realize I didn't even look at that.
He wore he yeah, he's wearing number 2
Why
for the
would he do
Somerset
that to
Patriots.
himself?
I have no idea.
That's like one of the worst ideas, and he's so good. But
He's
oh my
so
gosh.
good, but like I don't know if Somerset, I don't know if there was like a clubby in there that was like, "Hey man, you should do this." And he's like, "Yeah, that'd be sick."
Yeah. No pressure, kid. Uh, you already have all the pressure in the world of being the Yankees' by far best prospect. Why don't you just throw some more pressure on yourself? But no, and it's funny because you hear nothing but glowing things about the makeup. That's why we've seen him throttled to Double A prior to his 20th birthday. At Double A, it's been a bit more of a challenge as expected. You've seen the whiff creep up a little bit. You've seen the power taper off a little bit, but he's still learning to get into that. He is a work in progress that I think that the Yankees were okay with. Okay, sure, they could juice up the excitement and let him crush high A all year long. But they're not trading this guy. This is a guy that's a building block for them, I'd imagine, unless they have an opportunity to get somebody that could alter their franchise presently and moving
Well,
forward.
if they do that, they'll just trade Volpe and have Lombard in the big leagues.
Yeah, just put him in there tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure some Yankees fans out there would get behind that because Volpe made another error that hurt them late in the game, so he must stink. With Lombard, I think they said, "Hey, go struggle in Double A. I'm sure by the end of the year he'll get a little bit more comfortable, and then next year you start him again in Double A. He starts hot, and you could be looking at a 2026 ETA." The way that he's defending is continuing to impress me. He's getting more and more comfortable there. The arm looks great. The approach is so good. Even though he's not lighting it up offensively, he is controlling his at bats so well. And you can still dream on so much more from a 6'3", 190-pound shortstop here. So Lombard, I'm very excited to see in person and see him kind of go about his business. But this is still a really, really good player, even if the Double A numbers take a bit of a hit.
Upper level guy, AAA guy, Bryce Matthews of the Houston Astros is also going to the futures game. Matthews is a guy that I haven't put enough respect on over the last few years, but Matthews is sneaky, been productive throughout his minor league career and a former Nebraska Cornhusker.
He hits the crap out of the ball. And the challenge is whiff, and he's moved off of the shortstop position, which was always anticipated anyways. They've moved him to second, which I think is fun because now he can be this like power hitting second base type. He leans into the three true outcomes, and I think that's fine. He could be that three true outcome second baseman, but usually with that type, you don't get a ton of speed. He can run. So it's a fascinating archetype. The contact rates are still a cause for concern. 64% overall, 71% in zone, only 38% out of zone. Tells me it's a grooved swing, but he demolishes lefties. Like 1,053 OPS against lefties this year. So it could be at least a short platoon opportunity. But this is either a decent trade chip for the Astros, a guy that they bring up to handle the short side of the platoon, or they're patient with and wait another year, hope the hit tool comes along a little bit further. And this still could be a really fun power, speed, walk combo second baseman if it all comes together.
Got you. Another infielder we got to talk about, back to the lower levels, Kevin McGonigal of the Detroit Tigers. He's in West Michigan. You're fired up. I'm going to clump the next two together because I think they are number 2 on your power rankings in terms of must watch. McGonigal and Sebastian Walcott are both going to be in the futures game. McGonigal for the Tigers, Walcott for the Rangers, just like wax poetic.
I mean, McGonigal So the question had always been, okay, well, how much power is going to be there? Because we were talking about best pure hitter in the minor leagues, and now I'm seeing everybody jump on board with that. I think I've seen 5 tweets now in the last like 2 weeks of this is the best hitter in the minor league. So I agree. Like, he definitely is. And that was the calling card when we were pushing him as a top 10, top 5 prospect in the game. The other thing that really endeared me to him was, hey, he hits the ball harder than you'd expect from most 60, 70 hit tool guys. And he's hitting it even harder than that now. It's a 37 game sample because he was banged up, but he's hitting balls 95 plus 54% of the time. He has a 90th percentile exit velocity of 106 miles per hour, which, like, if you have that with his contact rates, forget it. The chase rate's below 20%. He's walking more than he strikes out. He doesn't put the ball on the ground. He looks comfortable at shortstop. This is a stud, an absolute stud. And he may not be a futures game, like stands out to you and 2 at bats type of guy, but he also could be, because he could put the swing on a ball that's 100 miles per hour, 2 balls up, and he tomahawks it, or a nasty breaking ball 2-2 that he shoots the other way. Like, that's what he does. That's so impressive. And I'm just always excited at the opportunity to see him go about his business. And then Sebastian Walcott. I mean, when we saw him at the Futures game last time, probably when we knew he was big, but probably the most holy crap, he's that big guy that I can remember seeing in a live look, where it was like, I don't even think I expected him to be that physically imposing. Uh,
Yeah.
he's the best prospect in the Ranger system for a reason. They challenged him with a AA assignment prior to his 19th birthday. He's held his own there. And I think that says a lot. I mean, people may look at the numbers and say, well, he's not lighting it up for a top 10 prospect. He's 18 years old,
Right.
just turning 19 in AA. Um, this is crazy power to the pull side, and also I think one of the strongest arms from shortstop slash third base. It's just tools galore.
Yeah. I hope they do the skills competition again because I liked watching him in that skills competition too. That was fun.
I hope they do it just with better
No, that
challenges.
bunting competition sucked. Like I did
Bunting
not like that.
sucked.
But
The
Roman put on a show in that little derby. I wish they just did a mini prospect home run derby.
Just do a prospect home run derby, and then maybe something for the hit tool guys that you could dial up. But they try to make it a blend of like bunt and hit for accuracy and then hit for power, and it's like it depends on the guy. Like, have different groups for
Right.
different things. But I would love to see Walcott in a derby setting or something like that. This guy, is already popping EVs north of 115 miles per hour as a teenager.
Walcott was way bigger than anybody anticipated. The guy that did that to us in Seattle was Junior Caminero. So, take with that information what you will. Last infielder that we got to talk about, Tommy Tanks is going to the Futures game in high A for the Athletics. Tommy White is headed there. What are you looking for with Tommy White?
If I get the I was gonna joke and say, like, if I get the opportunity, I just want to go up to him and apologize, but like, that is too much self importance there. He has no idea who the hell I am. But the I want to apologize to Athletics fans, I should say. I absolutely bashed this guy after his pro debut, because I didn't really like him out of the draft. I didn't, and then pro debut, you look at the swing mechanics, the setup, it was bizarre. He's
Yeah.
cleaned those things up now, and the bat speed was never an issue. But to see him clean up the mechanics now and the bat speed shine through, I was so wrong about this guy. And it's so fun because this is another lightning rod type of fun talent that I think can bring eyeballs to this futures game. Everybody knows Tommy Tanks because of, like, if you have a nickname as a freshman in college, you're an exciting player.
Yeah.
We'll see what that ultimately means as a pro, but
And you're going to be under the microscope for the next 2 years of your college career.
and he was, and I think that was definitely, to your point, like, something that transferring LSU won an Addy, but there was a lot of challenges. Then going into the draft year, can this guy be a first round pick? There's a lot of pressure that comes with that, and I think he kind of chased his own tail, making these changes, the 2 strike setup, all these things, just trying to get himself right. And there's a tipping point, right, where it's like, you want a guy that's willing and able to make changes, especially someone that's had so much success so early in his career. But then also, you want to make sure that those changes actually point him in the right direction. I think he was chasing his own tail a little bit. Now, as a pro, he has made those changes that have him in the right direction. To have the bat speed that he has, and only have a 12% K rate, he's given up some of the power for the hit, and that's fine. And that's been really nice to see because it's allowed him to be quite productive. And in high A, he has been fantastic this year. Look, he's going to have to mash as a third baseman who's not going to be the best defender over there, but he looks like he can mash and have a 12% K rate this year. I think as he gets more comfortable with the newer swing, he can start to find more loft again and get into more power. But I like finding that middle ground right now where, okay, I'm making a lot more contact. My swing decisions are a little bit better, and he looks awesome this year.
Yep. Yep. We're going to wrap up with the outfielders in a moment, but before that, we will take one more quick break. American League outfield to wrap up this episode. We have Enrique Bradfield Jr. of the Baltimore Orioles representing the O's in the Futures game. So Keegan Gillies and Enrique Bradfield Jr. Oh, what a fall from grace this O's system has had. But at the end of the day, Messiah is hitting the ball around the ballpark. Mayo's in the big leagues now, and Holiday is obviously solidifying himself as a top of the order threat for Baltimore. Bradfield is obviously a guy that they want to be the backfill for Cedric Mullins when he's off. Is he trending in that direction?
If you asked me a month or two ago, I would have said, I don't know. Seems like we've hit a snag. He missed a little bit of time with an injury in May. So I think there was some just building back up off of that. Well, what I was very concerned about in the beginning was he was whiffing a little bit more than we're used to through the first 25 games. He had a contact rate of 74%. He can't be a guy that has a contact rate of 74% because it's 20 grade power. So you need him to walk and put the ball in play and be that scrappy, get on base, put the pressure on the defense. Chandler Simpson type of player. Last 15 games, he's been that again. It's a small sample, but zone contact rates jump back up to 92.5%, chase rates down to 16%, and you're seeing in that span that the OPS has finally got over 700.
Yeah.
I want to see more offensively for sure, but he's an elite defender. He's so much fun to watch out there. He can absolutely fly, but it's still a matter of trying to put things together offensively. But he is a very, very fun athlete to watch.
Interesting. Okay. Next guy we got to talk about, Max Clark. We're seeing everything come together for him. I saw you just tweet another swing from Clark out last week. What was that change? Because I saw it in passing, and then I was like, oh, I got to go run and do something else. Where have you seen the adjustments from Clark?
That swing I thought just really embodied what he's improved this year. And it's just the ability to stay back and hammer stuff at the bottom half of the zone. Whereas last year his swing path was a little bit more steep and downward. So he would end up, I think, on pitches in the lower half. It was just kind of an auto rollover. He was a little bit heavier on the front foot too. So it would often be out and around. Sure, there was points where he could yank that pull side pop a little bit more if he caught a pitch in the right spot, especially up. But pitches that were down in the zone, it just that pitch, it was a changeup specifically. That one that was really well located, ended up breaking 6 inches below the zone. And he started his swing. It's like, all right, I got to adjust mid swing to get down and scoop this thing. And he basically scooped it off the ground and hit it 101 off the bat, into the base of the wall in right field. And I thought that was a swing that it's like, that was such an auto rollover last year. And this one, he's able to scoop out and hit it in the air hard to the pull side. That is really encouraging too, because as we talked about when he came on the show a few weeks back, his focus this year was actually just to be able to spray the ball over the yard a bit more and to be able to be this more complete hitter. And we've seen that his in-zone contact rate is above 90%. It's one of the best figures in the minor leagues, and he's still hitting the ball hard. So I think that's the thing that I love is you're seeing him lean into the bat to ball. You're seeing him improve so much swing decisions wise, also sub 20% chase rate. But that's a B swing that still was 101 off the bat pull side. Like he's still got the strength and the bat speed to make those things happen. But if he's trying to slug all the time, you're going to be hedging away from a strength, which should be the bat to ball and approach, to try to maximize, I wouldn't say a weakness, but something that definitely is not the calling card of his game. The power that everyone's like, oh, wait for the plus power. Nah, screw that. Watch him turn into a 70 grade hitter with great plate discipline who can still flash enough pop when he needs to. And that swing was the embodiment of that.
Cool. And this guy, this is his second futures game, and you would think that next year is going to be his third, and then hopefully he's already in the bigs by
Yes,
the
I
time
was.
he,
He's such a lightning rod of attention,
he's always going to be there.
and he should be. Yeah, there's. It was funny because I asked him, I'm like, "Do you think you're going to be there?" And he's like, "I hope so. I really do hope so." And like he genuinely meant it. I'm like, "Dude, if they don't have you out there, that'd
That's a
probably be the
PR
worst.
nightmare.
It'd be the be the worst decision marketing wise MLB's probably made in a long time. Because in terms of prospects, obviously he's transcendent in that regard. But yeah, definitely excited to see him out there, and it's cool with the trio that they have there. Like this is a team that actually sent their three best guys with Rainer hurt, and you love to see that.
Yeah, 100%. Justinson Garcia is going. The password is going to be in the futures game, and I'm excited for everybody else to see the password because he has been good in Worcester, man. He is proving to be a non-afterthought for the Red Sox right now. I think we always viewed this as a big three, big four moving together, and now they're all on the show, and it's really fun to see this young lineup feature everybody. And then Justinson Garcia is sitting back there and saying, like, don't forget about me. Like, I understand I was two levels behind, but he's knocking on the door all of a sudden.
Can I ask you? So through the process of the Crochet trade, we obviously have zero intel here, but do you think that Braden Montgomery was preferred by the White Sox than
Pro-
Garcia?
Probably.
I was, you know, if I think so as well. But if he wasn't, like, do you think the Red Sox preferred to hold on to Garcia? I was just thinking about that the other day because I'm like, you have two outfielders, similar in age, obviously different backgrounds, college guy versus IFA guy, but both have some swing and miss that could be a part of their game, but have both managed it really well already now professionally. Montgomery was coming off of an injury. I was just thinking about that the other day. It doesn't matter in hindsight, but I was like, I wonder who the Red Sox valued more going into this year. Because now at this
So,
press, if the trade happened today, Montgomery's been awesome,
yeah,
but with Garcia already in AAA doing what he's doing, I'd imagine that you'd be holding on to him.
entirely speculative. I would guess the White Sox asked for Montgomery, and the Red Sox were okay letting him go because they knew they had Justinson
Yeah,
Garcia.
that's probably the best answer.
Like
Yeah.
that's probably the way this went. Instead of give us Justinson Garcia, no, we'll give you Braden Montgomery.
Yeah, I agree with that because also Montgomery fell into their lap. That was the guy that we're like, whoa, he fell that far. So
Right.
it wasn't like, oh, I think you found a situation here where like, wow, we've got a ton of outfielders, no problem. But Garcia now, and we'll see how their careers progress. But I think they're very similar types of players where they hit the living crap out of the ball. Garcia may even hits the ball even harder. I just like to see him get into it a little bit more consistently from just like an average exit velocity perspective. But we're seeing Garcia get into the pull side power that's going to play so well for him in Fenway, assuming that's where he's playing next year or later this year and beyond. But I'll be honest, when I saw him earlier this year and in spring training and things like that, no doubt saw the talent, saw the power speed combo that's fun, but I thought there was a little bit too much stiffness there and a little bit too much aggression. And those are still aspects that are going to potentially limit him some. You know, the contact rates are slightly below average, the chase rate slightly above, but he's proven to be able to mitigate that and be able to manage it. And there's plenty of examples of players who are fringy in both those regards that have great EVs that just make it work because they get the most out of their contact. And it seems like Garcia is doing just that. As a 22-year-old in AAA, there's still time for both those things to improve too.
100%, man. And I'm excited to see what he can do in the futures game because this is a guy that can hit a baseball a long way in this one. I mean,
Oh yeah, especially to that pull side. I think the furthest he's hit some absolute bombs this year to that pull side, and I think he's already flashed a couple north of 110, but a lot of 105 pluses when he does get into it. I'm also very excited to hear how the PA announcer pronounces his name as well.
I am excited for that as well, especially being in Atlanta. Two more names. Watch out, Chop House. Lazaro Montes is coming to Atlanta. This guy is probably going to DH. I would be stunned if he played a lick of outfield
I
in
hope
this
he
ball
does.
game. I hope he does too. But Lazaro Montes is one of the representatives for the Seattle Mariners.
So you're not going to be there in time for the futures
No, I
game.
will not.
I will be sending you video of the infield outfield from Las Montes for sure.
Perfect. Thank
Um,
you.
but no, man, this is if they have a derby, but this is one of the main reasons why I want to see a derby. Like he's going to reach that Jesus Sanchez area of the chop house over there, pole side. I'm looking at like some of the hardest hit balls, pole side. 114 miles per hour. He's already hit one this year to right field. Um, like that's a ball that'll get well up there into that area. And there's something aesthetically pleasing about being able to pull the ball as far as you can at Truist. It just looks like it goes so much further because of that chop
Yeah.
house and
No, I
the
mean
whole
Olson
situation they have
homers
over
look
there.
way longer than Acuna homers. Like that. That's a fact.
It's awesome. So what I like about Montes is we talked about it last year where he flashed the 118 and then it was like, okay, you see the power, he's slugging, but the raw EVs weren't totally there. And I think it was because he was trying to become this more complete hitter. Now this year, he is letting it rip, man. Like he's letting it rip. So you're seeing that power really start to shine through again. He has 62 batted balls north of 100 miles per hour, and he has 37 batted balls north of 105 miles per hour. So 968 OPS, strikeout rate's still reasonably in check. I hope he clips one. I hope he gets 100 down the middle and we get a perfect, and I just want to see how far it goes.
That'd be good. All right. Last but not least, Braden Montgomery, guy that we just talked about. The Chicago White Sox are sending Braden Montgomery to the Futures game. Kyle Teal is already in the big leagues, so they opt to send Montgomery. This is good to get Justinson Garcia and Montgomery in the same game.
It's fun. And I will say same conversation, right? I had some concern about the chase, maybe a little bit of whiff. How is that all going to look? He has really handled everything quite well, especially coming off of an injury. 22% K rate on the season as a switch hitter, who was perceived to be power over hit and definitely is. Also a guy though, if he times things up, if he syncs things up, especially from that left side, we could see an absolute moonshot. The power is a lot more prevalent from the left side, but the right side has been productive for him. So it's been nice to see that. Honestly, he's slugging more from the right side because of the EV or because of the launch angles, but from the left side, the raw EVs are significantly higher. Yeah, I'm just excited to see that bat speed in person. Just see him let it rip because in terms of raw bat speed, he's as impressive as you're going to find, and in terms of making that swing a blur, and he's just had a really good year. Also, a guy that demolishes velocity, and I'm trying to think of people that like can you know, survive or handle these one inning spurts of top pitching prospects. Montgomery could be a guy that catches up to that heater.
That's our program. That's the American League All Star Futures game roster. And then we've got National League coming, what, tomorrow?
Yes, and then
Okay.
I think the plan actually we may do a mock draft after that, and then we got Yankees top prospects on the back end. I know we've been overdue for a mock draft check in with the on the clock guys with
Cool.
Tyler Jennings and Jared Perkins. So that should be the plan later in the week. And then yeah, we finally have Yankees top prospects finishing up as well. But I'm looking forward to doing the National League side of things. Look out for a thread also on X. I'll be kind of making to just highlight the players that every player and what's most exciting to maybe see from them at the futures game. And then, of course, we'll be out there covering it all. So be sure to keep up with us on all of our socials. As always, thank you for listening. Look forward to talking prospects with you later this week.